Okay. Don't be afraid. Come up a little bit closer, since we don't have microphones to caterwaul in. All right. First, let me introduce of Woodward Academy, Michael Drucker, okay, of the Alumni Advancement Department, right? We have wowed Michael already with stories of ghosts and happenings that he cannot believe, and I'm thinking, well, there they are. There they are. There they are.
Don't tell on us, Todd.
So, we're only old in body, right? Not in our hearts. A lot of y'all are shaking your heads. Good, because I think that's true. And I think it says a lot about the class of 79. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that we are still young in heart. Now, I can't believe they allow him to spend much time in Alpharetta, but my best friend Jeff Hendricks, we're always together up there and talking about, well, how young do you think you feel in your mind? And I'm embarrassed to tell you that I try not to show it actually through my behavior, but we do talk about it all the time, about how old we are in carbon dating and how young we actually feel, right, Buzzy? Right. How long we actually feel. So, and I'll tell you too, Jeff has always been great counsel to me, especially at reunion time too. And I asked him about his experience with his parents and my parents and other people, and he's given me great counsel on really why we're here. Because people do pass away, right? They do. You don't like it. You can't sometimes understand it, especially if it's sudden, but they do. And in the past couple of months, we've learned a great deal about Lewie. A lot of new information, and we know, regardless of that he was sweet. And I can honestly tell you, and I'm going to prove that to you tonight at the hotel, how much he loved you guys. Okay? I really mean that. He really did love this place, and he loved you. And I will prove it to you in photographs and other things that he collected. So I'm going to introduce Nona here in just a second, but I want to tell you, a week after that memorial service at that little church, which was like something out of a David Lynch movie, okay? Or maybe the Coen brothers. A week later, I went to his home, and they allowed me to see everything I wanted to see, touch everything. And he wasn't a hoarder, but he was a keeper. And everything he kept was either history or Woodward Academy, and it's things that meant a great deal to him. We already know he's a unicorn. We'll get into that in a minute. But I'm telling you, the reason that we're here is that money was raised. The project was originated by Nona, Boggs, now married, Jernigan, who is standing to my right. Joy Disharoon emailed me and said that she wouldn't be able to make it, but I've always been very impressed with the job that you and Joy did. So Nona's going to tell us about why we're here for the bench.
A few weeks ago, we lost one of us, and it was up in the air on social media. Was he really gone, or wasn't he really gone? And I told my husband, Gene, I said, I gotta find out if he's really gone. I mean, I can't put stuff on that's not true, you know. And so he said, all right. So he called a friend of ours who's a mortician, and his roommate is the Fulton County coroner, just happens to be. So he called him, and he said, yes, I've got him. And I said, okay, it's confirmed. It's confirmed, he's gone. And so now what? So they were telling me on the phone, I couldn't believe this, that he had no family, he had no kids, he had no one. And that they were waiting for legal papers to be sorted through so they could cremate him and put him in the cemetery somewhere. And I just didn't think that was exactly right, because he was part of one of us. And so that's when I put that post up, and a lot of you saw it, and a lot of people agree with me that that was terrible. And everything worked out. A friend of his did everything, had the service, had his memorial service, and she honored him. She really did. And so that's what we're here today for, is to honor Lewie. And I met him in 4th grade. Many of you know him since kindergarten. Jeff's known him since kindergarten. And I did a little research while I was at school, so I looked up words that describe Lewie Dunn. Amazing, amusing, attentive, brave, bright, candid, cantankerous, dutiful, dynamic, eager, enterprising, faithful, friendly, great, humorous, imaginative, loyal, long-winded, yes. And a lot of you may not know this, but my husband's a Mason, and Lewie was a Mason. He was also a Scottish Rite Mason. When he called, they told him all the details about that. And Scottish Rite does a lot of things for children, and they help them with speech and language, so I was real proud that he was that. Obnoxious is the next one. Outgoing, passionate, sentimental, sincere, thoughtful, tolerant, unaffected, willing, and zealous. I thought all those described Lewie Dunn.
Thank you. Thank you, Nona. Okay, y'all elected me, and with this position comes. What's that?
Can we rescind our vote?
Let me get done. So the Woodward tradition, Michael, is that when you are fortunately or unfortunately elected president, which actually happened on the England study trip, so I'm like calling it in. I mean, hey, it's easy. Is that for the rest of your life, you are in charge of the reunion, and I've added another as keeper of the flame, right? Now I have a committee, and none of them want to admit that they're on the committee, because if they know that I know, then they're afraid of getting tasks. So I just kind of do it, me and Nona, we just kind of do it ourselves, and others. But with that position comes some executive power. And so tonight I'm going to formally exercise executive power that we knew 2 or 3 weeks into our senior year, we were wondering where Lewie was. And we just kind of forgot about it. So then we learned that he was either kicked out or what, but we didn't believe it. I mean, why would you kick a guy like that out? He's like the heart and soul. So we learned that his father, a lawyer, had some debate with Captain Brewster or something, and they just decided not to come back. Now this is all I know, right? So with my executive power, I hereby tonight decree that he is a graduate in a class of 1979 of Woodward Academy.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Please note time and day. Now that's it. Now I have other executive powers, and I'll exercise those later tonight. I won't tell you what they are, but I will tell you this. So you either kind of knew him or knew of him, but we all knew him, right? We all knew him and knew of him, and had probably some of the most surreal experiences with him. But I'm telling you, he loved you and he loved this place. So when I found out, like all of us, as the keeper of the flame, I decided to write about it in addition to the notices that you put up on Facebook. So I'm going to read you what I wrote. It's the best thing that I can really give you, and nothing's changed since I put this out there, a month and a half, 2 months ago. But I'm going to read it out loud. I think because I loved him and understood him, and being a school teacher, I'm pretty observant, right? And so I always observed him and just have some particular crazy memories of him as well. So the first part I'll read to you is called The Woodward Unicorn. Dear friend, now, I'm saddened to report the passing of a true unicorn, Lewie Dunn, a historian, a genius, an eccentric, a Boy Scout, a man of mystery, an American patriot, a conundrum wrapped in an enigma, an old soul, a know-it-all, and I think he really did. Who on earth was not intrigued by Lewie? God bless you, kind and kooky brother. You were such a huge part of our Woodward experience. You were there nearly to the end, but in our class of 1979 minds and hearts, you are one of us. And like a bunch of us, you survived the 1978 England study trip, so that's some real international street cred right there for life. Lewie crossed over on June the 29th in his home in Fairburn. A gathering in Lewie's honor and memory will be held Saturday, July the 27th at the Shadner Baptist Church in Union City from noon to 2. Lewie's obituary is below. This is directly from the Facebook page. But I go on to say, we already miss you, old friend, but we'll see you on the other side. We insist that nothing will change with you and that you'll have even more tales to tell. As always and forever, the more outrageous, the better. Okay, so we go to Shadner. Bobby Shearer was there. Lyle Nunley Waits was there. Laurie Gunter, and y'all may remember Tammy Cheeley of a class ahead of us. Right. I think she like waved pom-poms together too. So after that experience, by the time I go from Union City to up this way to look at some places for the event where we had last night, I just had it written in my mind. And I'm going to read it to you. And then this is going to be followed by a list of those of us who have crossed over, which we do every 5 years. So the title of this second final piece is called Lewie, I Had No Idea. Dateline, Shadner First Baptist Church in Union City. A heartfelt dispatch from your humble class president. Dear friend, now I had no idea there were so many others. So many others who are dearly departed, also astonished in his too short 63 years. In the low-ceiling basement meeting room of an old church that smelled like your grandmother's house, of cookies and cakes and chicken salad sandwiches, many stood one after the other and told of how much they loved the clockless old soul not of this time. Some stayed in their wheelchairs on oxygen. One man in a Revolutionary War uniform reminded us how much Lewie loved history. Friends told of his generosity of time and effort in helping. One man, a local historian, had a modern pistol strapped to his waist. As class president, I told some Lewie stories too. I can't believe I kept it together. My natural sentimental nature in regards to a certain unicorn man is always just under the surface. I don't have to see Lewie every day for him to dazzle me. He dazzled me permanently, beginning in 1975, 49 years ago. So, beloveds, one of the most peculiar people on earth has passed. Lewie was in an urn on a table in the middle of the room, surrounded by his Dunnalia, certificates, diplomas, old photographs in frames. He looks just like his father. The urn had a camouflage covering, including the lid, giving me the final impression that the conundrum was hiding still keeping us wondering who and what he really was. In my remarks, I said he was not of this earth. Heads nodded, many laughed in agreement. After the ceremony, I went north to the Virginia Avenue to find a good spot to gather after the reunion weekend Friday night football game. A place where we'll raise a glass of sweet Irish amber in honor of sweet Lewie and to the rest of those dearly departed of my beloved class of 1979. And they are Preston Reed Barber, Alice Abikalid Boggs, Warren Davis, Missy Doyle, Farhad Farivar, Jeff Haney, Steve Hinton, Alan Hodson, Greg Knox, Blake Marsh, Mark McCool, Ken Mercer, Steve Patton, Homara Rozavi, David Thompson, Lon Torbert, Gail Bowles, Kitura Kerpo, Brian Flynn, and Steve Yager of our class. So, in closing, many of y'all know that my oldest sister taught here and met Errol while they were teaching here and fell in love. And I'm talking the L-U-V kind of love. You know what I'm saying? You just like, oh, it's just unholy love, right? I was present when they got married in Gresham Chapel. And so as I got to know Errol as a student and later taught with him at another school across the hallway, it was quite a time. I used to ask him, say, Errol, I want your honest response and answer about who in the, at this point would have been 110, year history of the school. So I want to hear it from you. He goes, okay, there were 3, and y'all were at the top of the list. The other classes were in the early 70s, back when who knows what was going on, floating around, right? Okay? We were influenced, however, among other things, by personality. I'd like for you to agree. I know that you would agree. But Errol died in October 4 years ago. But I got that out of him before he crossed over, unfortunately. And I'm telling you, in a conversation early this morning with my sister, she said that he talked about us all the time. And we could not go to family events over the years because we would always tell Woodward stories over and over, and so we were never invited, right? And if we did sneak in, we'd have to go over to the corner. But he loved this place, and he loved the class of 79. But he said there were 3 classes, and we were at the top. He goes, it was the perfect storm. It was the perfect storm. So let me reintroduce my vice president, okay? Because what I'm going to say next does involve you.
Oh no, we know what you say about me, Todd.
I love you, and we have fun together and great humor. So Valerie Myros Pennock, okay, her husband is not here, so obviously she's not having a good time at all. Is that?
It's on.
That's it, right? Right. We're in this part here where I'm just saying all kind of nice things. But here's what I want to close with. We will dedicate this bench, and we'll sit in it. And I'm going to have some items back at the Marriott later tonight, a box of things that Cheryl gave me when I was at his home that's going to blow your mind. Some of y'all that have been here forever, okay, and you know who you are, you're going to just totally freak out. And again, it'll show you how much he loved you. And some of us that came in 9th grade or whenever, he loved you too, just by default. So with that in mind, we dedicate this bench tonight in Lewie's honor and memory, perfectly placed, where he can see the whole campus from here, right? But as class president, I vow to you that I want you to know that I am honored and so deeply happy for all of my life since we graduated to be your class president and to serve with Valerie. And Pat's not here this evening. But I do it on one condition. Until I'm dead, or you find somebody better. Okay? Here we go. I love you. Have a great evening. Can't wait for the rest of the night. Okay. All right. I'd like to be the first person to sit. Nona, come on.
So when you're done, you're just going to walk that way all the way to the Tyler Brown Student Center, and there will be a table where you get your name back.